This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So good morning, and good afternoon and good evening wherever you are. Let me introduce myself. The first thing, I'm Lakshman and having 12 plus years of experience in Java J2EE technologies. I work for the product-based company and I have run more than so 50 batches training as well as I've done the couple of trainings for the corporates as well. And the my primary job is like I work in a product which is used by the more than 200 clients. Yeah. Um, and I've done my sun certification in the year 2008. That's a long ago. Yeah. So then most of the my work was on J2EE technologies, and the last 5 years, 5 to 6 years, I was working on the Spring and the Spring related ecosystem. I was working. Yeah, I'll continue to work on that. So this is a primary question. Well, whenever you're learning the Java, it always arises that, oh, is it Java is going to be the top language, or if I learn Java, will I get a job? Like no. So this is a question. When I was learning, that same question was there. When after 10 years, also same question. And I guess after 10 years also, if the person who is going to learn is it Java is going to fetch the job, that's the same question you will have. I'm pretty much sure the Java is going to be the top language. Another you can take it as another 15 to 20 years. Yeah, so you need not worry about the whether do I get the job or do I Java has got the lots of scope to excel in your career. If you have such a doubt, don't get the doubts. Yeah, just the last 20 years, the people are discussing the same question, and Java would continue to be the top language. Yeah. So most of the enterprise technologies, whatever you speak about that, so they uses the Java more. And not only that, like when it comes to the enterprises and when it comes to the test automations and when it comes to the Android, so everywhere Java is used. So you guys can decide once you learn Java where you can go. Like whether you want to go to the testing side, you can go to the Android development side. That later you can at any point of time you can decide that here. So if you have any concern or doubt that will I get a job or will I the Java will be the top language? Do I need to concentrate on some other programming languages? If you have that doubt, just you can ignore that your doubt. Java is going to be the top language. Another one more decade, we can say that at least one more decade. We like the way things are going in the industry. The Spring has changed the entire the ecosystem of the Java. Yeah. So don't get that out. Yes. So so Java has got a huge scope and there are a lot of potentials as a Java to get it into the uh, any developers so there are huge openings for the Java. Yeah. Now when it comes to this program, okay, whenever you have a doubt, you can stop me and you can ask the doubt. So this program is designed we'll get start with the core Java and then we'll go ahead with the basics of the SQL and MongoDB will learn. Then we are learning the UI components. Once you learn the UI components, then we'll work with the enterprise technologies or enterprise frameworks you are going to work. And that's a place you will be introduced to the Spring and Hibernate. Yeah, so the Spring also has got the lot of modules. So some of the modules will be covered in a Spring framework and Hibernate. So Hibernate with the JPA implementation we are going to cover, and where we are going to build the applications by using the enterprise technologies. Along with that, you will learn a lot of other things like the build tools, no voice. Hey, can you hear me? Somebody is saying that there is no voice.
Yes, sir.
You can hear.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Yeah. Um, yes. When it comes to the core Java, how we are going to get started with that? Like when you're learning the core Java, generally we will we'll get start our programming with the, you will take the one of the ID, you are going to take that here. So we'll make you to the, like we will, this program will start like, it will start from the alphabet. So what is the programming and how we are going to use the, what are the IDs are available, and you will be choosing the one of the IDs. And not only that, getting familiar with the source code repositories. The day in and the day out, once you enter into the projects, you will be working on the Git and you will be working on the build tools. Yeah, IDs, you will be, most of the times you will be working on that. So you will be introduced to the programming fundamentals along with that development environment. Development environment like Git and Gradle or a Maven. So these are the build tools and IDEs. So here we will be using the Eclipse IDE. So already if you are familiar with some other IDE, you can go ahead with the whatever the IDE which you are familiar with that. Yeah, so sometimes I will be using in these classroom sessions, IntelliJ or Eclipse, I will be using that. Okay. In Core Java, you will be covering all the fundamental concepts like what is JDK, what JRE, and the programming fundamentals. So some of the core concepts of the Core Java, you will be introduced to these concepts. Not only introducing the concepts, you will be given these assignments, and you will be asked to do some quizzes, and these concepts will be covered in depth. Yeah. Once we're done with that, then we are going to discuss about the databases. And these databases, I'll discuss about the SQL databases, NoSQL databases. SQL databases will be introduced by using the MySQL, and NoSQL database will be learning the MongoDB. Once we're done with this module and we are going to do the one application, so this is a completely CLI application where by giving the inputs from the command line, you will be developing the application. Okay, so if you are starting with the Core Java and you are writing the your first Java application, like how we are going to get started. Just I'll take a simple demo. I'll give that here. The first I'll be explaining about that installation of the JDK and how the JDK is installed. So just I'll show you that here. I'm going to say that Java minus version. So what is the version of the Java? We are going to use the Java 11. We'll use it in this sessions. Now, the first thing is whenever you are going to work with the Java, we need to install the basic setup. We need to do that here. JDK installation, we need to do that. Once you are done with that, you are going to choose the one of your favorite IDE you are going to choose here. Now, I'm going to use the Eclipse IDE. Is my favorite IDE. So I'm going to use the throughout the session. So the Eclipse, I'm going to use it here. Now here, when you take this IDE, the first thing is, what is a IDE, integrated development environment, and what are you going to do with this integrated development environment, how to use that here, and how do I get start with my Java project. So this you will be introduced, and when you're creating the first example, we will not create a traditional Java example. We will not create it that, because once you enter into the industry or projects, projects, you will be doing the project. You will be working on the projects which is created by the build automation tools like Maven or Gradle, and the earlier versions Ant. If you take the legacy projects, people are using the Ant, but these modern applications, most of them are going with the either Maven or Gradle. Maven or a Gradle, you are going to use it here. Just we are going to say it as a Maven or a Gradle. So I will be introducing the core Java concepts and till we reach the enterprise technology with the Maven. Once we reach the enterprise technologies, so I'll be introducing you the Gradle. These both are built tool, both are from the Apache only. So one is here, it uses the XML configurations. Here it uses the Groovy scripts. You are going to write it here. That's the only difference. You can say that here. Yeah. Like you can completely avoid the writing the pom.xml file and all these things. Here you are going to write the scripts, Groovy scripts. You will write it in order to automate your build process. So you will be introduced to the Maven and Gradle. So once you are doing here, now I created a project, and that project is if you take this pandemic time. So most of the team are sitting in various places. They will be sitting that we don't have the common one group so the people are sitting in various corners, and they want to access the source code, and they want to share the source code between the team. These are places where we use the Git. We are going to use it here. And here the cloud version, we are going to use the GitHub. I'll be introducing here. Or some places, organization level, they will have their own Git repositories. They will have it here. They will have their own Git repositories. They will have it here. So most of them, they will use the either GitHub or Bitbucket. Okay. Bitbucket. So either any one of these things we can use it here. I'm going to use the GitHub I'll be using here. And when you're learning the GitHub, when you're going to use the GitHub, what are the basic commands? How to check in the code and how to check out the code. When there is a multi conflicts happens, how to do that. So these things will be introduced when you're learning the core Java itself. And after that, so you have written a code and the code needs to be tested. And to test that code, you will be introduced the JUnit file. So the unit testing you will be introduced. Okay, when you're learning the unit testing, not only writing the test cases and how you are going to check that code coverage. For that, we'll use the uh, Jacoco. Jacoco plugin will be using that, and this Jacoco plugin will tell you that what is the source code coverage. This all these things information you will get it by using the Jacoco. How to use that Jacoco, you will be learning that. And along with that, so the static source code analysis. That means whether you have written the code by following all the proper naming conventions, whether you have written the clean code or not. So for that, to test that, we will use the plugin called the Sonar. So in core Java learning phase, not only the programming fundamental concepts, along with that, you learn about these are the tools you will be introduced. Okay. So this is the module 1. And so for any questions? Anyone has any questions here?
So how long
No,
is it
sir.
take to finish the model?
I'm sorry.
So how long it's going to take to complete the first model, the module first? I mean, it's a
Module
24
1,
hours test. Yeah,
you can take it as 25 days.
25 days. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
25
you.
days you can here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now here, once you are done with the module 1 and you will be seeing the module 2, where you will be introduced to the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and Ajax. So then we will develop a simple application. And these applications are already it's deployed and you will be introduced to the deployment environment as well. How you are going to use some of the open source sites you are going to deploy your applications, whatever you developed. Then you are going to learn about the Angular framework. So where before learning the Angular, you will be introduced to the TypeScript and how the Angular single page applications can be created. So that we will be introduced, and you will be developing the one application you are going to develop that by using the Angular. Yeah. Then the module 4, this is a place where we will spend more time on as an enterprise developer. We must aware of the Spring concepts these days. Yeah, everybody will ask or most of the projects these days, they are moving to the Spring and Spring Boot. And the Spring framework will be introduced by using the Spring Boot. And Spring has got a lot of modules. In that, the most widely used and the most the modules are useful for your applications. Those modules will be covered, like Spring Core, AOP, MVC, Spring Data, and Spring Data. When you are introducing, you will introduce with the So one is SQL database and another one is a NoSQL database. Both we will be discussing about that. To write your RESTful web services, we will be introducing the Spring REST, and there is something called the Spring Security. In the Spring Security, when you are going to the Spring Security, that's a place where you will introduce to the JWT, how you are going to use the JWT, how you can implement the JWT things, and like Open API documentation. Once you write your APIs, that APIs needs to be consumed by the UI applications. So the UI developers are the mobile application developer. They need a API documentation. That API documentation, you can use the either Swagger documentation or Open API documentation in Spring. How to use that, and then you'll introduce to the FTL, free market template language. and how you are going to send email and email configurations, or how to do that. Those things will be introduced in this module. And when you are going to this module, and you will be learning the one is a JSON, okay, another one is a ML, YML or YML, yeah. Then you have a JSON and ML, and there is something called the properties. So this is the three files. So every Java developer, not only Java developer, any developer must aware of these things. Okay, what is a JSON and how you are going to configure the JSON? How to convert from your JSON object to the Java object? How do you? What is the ML? And how you are going to convert ML to your Java object, and do the property files like the key and value page? How you are going to maintain your configuration information? So you will be understanding when you are learning the Spring framework. And as a module 5, so this is a module where you will be introduced to the CI and CD tools. So what are the applications you've developed so far? And that application needs to be the build automation. We need to maintain that. For that, we'll use the Jenkins, and how to use the Jenkins and SonarLint. Already I explained that. And here deployment environment will use the Heroku. And when it comes to the MongoDB, Heroku will provide the event database that provides the PostgreSQL, and it is like a kind of a AWS kind of a thing, but it's not as comprehensive as AWS, but they have got the limited operations they have, limited services they have. So by using the Heroku, you can deploy your Java applications, like what are the hobby projects you are developing. In order to make it live and used by the people, you can use the Heroku. And the Mongo Atlas is it is a cloud DB provider, and where you get the 512 MB data as a free of cost, and they will give you the single cluster. By using this MongoDB Atlas, you can learn the how to use the MongoDB, and you can connect from Heroku deployed application to the Mongo Atlas. And finally, you will be deploying your application by using either Mongo Atlas, or if you are going with the SQL databases, the Heroku itself, it will provide the database called the PostgreSQL. How to use that and how to deploy the applications, you will be introduced in this module. So once you are done with all these things, now how are you going to develop the application? Like now, what are the application you are going to develop? Let me take this application. This is application. You can take it as this is a classroom example. This is a simple example we are going to develop. Like these projects, we'll create a multiple projects in classroom phase. It is a simple IPL statistics example where it is developed in completely in Java is a backend, Angular is the front end, and where if you select the particular team, you are going to get the Mumbai Indians, and here you will be getting the particular team has got the how many players, how many bowlers are there, how many batsmen, how many wicket keepers, and clicking on this, it is going to show you that who are those players. That is the information you will get it here. Like now, how to write these APIs and how to consume this API, and based on the click event, how are you going to get the data, and how are you going to convert the data into the Google charts. These are all the things you will be introduced, and in the classroom phase itself, you will be introduced, and at the same time, this will be some of the tasks I will be doing, and some of the tasks I will be asking you to do that here. And what are the code we are going to write it in a classroom? It will be shared in a GitHub from the day one, and you will be accessing the GitHub, and the remaining methods you will be implementing that. Suppose if I'm implementing one method, this completely I'll be implementing that, and the next tab you will be asked to implement that here. Like the team wise statistics, you want to get it here. Which team has spent more money in the 2020 IPL, and the CSK has spent the more money, and where they have spent the more money is on 44% on all rounders. They have spent that here. So when you take the RR, they have spent the little money compared to Punjab is the team which has spent the very less amount. It has spent that here, and their distribution of the money is it looks like they have done the equal partitioning. They have done their money. So these are the example. This is the example we are going to develop that here. Like to get this to develop this application, I will be giving the requirement document. Okay, I'll be sharing you the requirement document, And here the requirement document looks something like this. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me take the projects, and the design diagram also will be given to you. So hey, this is what our design. Here there is a controllers, there is a services, and services needs to be talked to the repositories. And internally we uses the domain objects and the DTO objects, and I will be explaining that, like, this is what our architecture it should be. Like you will have an Angular application here, which is a server-side application, and the database you are having here. So this is that a high level thing you can say that here. Now, the first before that, we will be giving the requirement document you are going to give in that. So this requirement document, it will be like, no, this is what. Hey, can you? This is a problem statement, and what is this problem statement? And this is a little explanation about that. And how are you going to develop that here? What is the deployment and what is the architecture? Everything will be explained here, and the screens also will be given to you. And by using taking this requirement, and you will be developing the complete application, and finally you are going to deploy this application into the what other dev environment setup it is asked. You are going to deploy that here. To write this all these APIs, we need a seed data. That seed data will be made it available in the form of a JSON or a CSV file. It will be given. The data will be given to you. One is a JSON or a CSV. JSON or CSV file will be given here, and how to load this JSON data into the database or CSV data into the database, and finally, by using the database data, you are going to convert it into the meaningful, the statistics information. You are going to get it here. So probably I can show you the data, how it looks like. Suppose if you look at this data, this is the data you will be having. Will be given that. Okay, there is a player and roles, and there is a teams, and then price information you are having here. This is the price information, everything you are having here. By taking this data, you are converting into the this is the application you are going to convert here. So to do this here, we will be explaining the how to do that here. By the time when you reach the enterprise technology, you will be in a position to, when the requirement is given, that you will conceptualize, and at the same time you will design the application, and then you will develop, and finally you are going to deploy this application into the deployment servers. So this is the confidence we'll give you, and we'll handhold you a lot of the times, and at the same time, whenever you get doubt, so in the next session, if you're asking that, we'll definitely will help you, and wherever you get stuck, if you post a question in a common place, so that we'll answer these questions also. Yeah. So how you are going to conceptualize, and how do you design the class diagrams, and how you are going to write these services, and what are the things you need to take care. All the best practices and industry standards will be introduced, like logging framework. Okay, logging when you are taking here logs. Okay, especially logs, it is very important. Here we are going to use the SLF4J, SLF4J. We are going to use it here, and internally this SLF4J uses the either it can use the Java util logging, or whatever you want, you can choose at the runtime. It's kind of a wrapper here. So logging framework will be used, and how to see the logs, and how we are going to, if there is any problem by looking at the log files, how we are going to fix that. Those things will be introduced to you. Yeah. So this is a approach I'll be taking here. Like you will be explaining that. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah, somebody has a question. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I have a question, quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So you basically divided into front end, back end, and in other programs into each module, right? And you're saying hours, you're giving those hours like a days. So in that particular time frame, are you able to, how deep are we able to learn? How we, how deep you are, just basics we're going to touch everything in it? Are we going to go a little deeper, that where we can use it in real life, like in an entry level position? Are we able to do that?
Yes, we will. See here, the concepts is not only covered like no, so or you will not be teaching the fundamentals. We will take a project scenarios. Yeah, this is a project I will be keeping in mind, and then whenever I'm explaining in a classroom examples, like how you are going to read the JSON and how you will be converting the JSON into the Java objects and how you are going to store it into the database. Those all concepts will be covered in depth. Yeah, what kind of exceptions you will get it here. When you get this exception, how you are going to solve that. So that minute details also will be covered in this classroom phase. Yes.
Yes, thank
Will
you.
you be discussing the microservices?
No, microservices will not be covered in this course. Microservices will be covered as a separate topic. It will be covered. Okay. If majority of people, if you're asking that you need a microservices, one weekend we can explain the how the microservices works and how to build a microservice. We can take the depends on the demand. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Fine. Okay, now here, once we do that here, this is an deployment diagram, high level, how it will be. So where you can use the either Firebase or S3 for the UI. There are other things also available. Okay, so which we don't want to spend any money on the like hobby projects when you're doing that. That's the reason we have taken it as a Firebase or S3. S3 again, you have to have the S3 account, AWS account, then only you can deploy that. So you are deploying your application into the one bucket, and you are making that bucket as a what you can call as a static web hosting. You will make it that. And the deployment server, either you can use the AWS, you can use it here, or you can go with the Heroku. So I would prefer Heroku, like so especially when you are creating the AWS accounts. Sometimes we will start the services, will not stop those services. We'll forget to stop the services. Then we end up paying with the bills. We are going to we will be paying their bills. To avoid that, so you can use the Heroku. Our Heroku has got the certain limitations. Like you cannot run the you if you don't the server is not receiving any request, the server will go into sleep mode, and again first request it may not respond. From the subsequent requests, yeah, it is going to respond. Yeah, and there are certain limitations, like per second they will accept only some 1020 requests or something. It is there. Yeah, we need to go through the documentation. So yeah, our hobby projects we may not get that many requests, and this Heroku will provide the only Postgres SQL. It doesn't provide the MySQL or the Oracle database is not provided. Only it provides that. That too, it provides the only 5 MB data. 5 MB data is a good data. If you are using the only plain text data, the database is very good for you to learn and work with the hobby projects. And if you don't want to use that, then you have another option where you can go with the MongoDB, or you can buy a MySQL service from the AWS, and you can use that. If you are deploying if you really want to deploy your application and you want to see that here. So this is our deployment architecture. We are going to follow that here. And finally, at a high level, this is what our application looks like. So UI and Heroku, and this is a web application. We'll be using the Spring and Spring Boot application, and Mongo Atlas you'll be using here. You are going to connect with the you are going to deploy this in Heroku. And this can be either Amazon S3 or Firebase or whatever it is available. You can choose that here, and I'll show you that. Not only telling the theoretically, we'll show you that how we are going to practically deploy your applications into these places. And the source code, the moment I have done with the session, and the source code will be given to you. Okay, this is a GitHub Learn with Lakshman, and where you can go and see that what are the currently there is a batch number 9. It is going on. You can see here from the day one, whatever you have, all the sessions, whatever it is covered, everything will be given to you. Suppose if you take the seed data, how you are going to take this? This is a core Java when you are learning here. IPL same data it is given here. there is something called the IPO data, where these are some of the assignment questions where the date and the name of the IPO and current gains. Like, this is the last 10 years in the Indian market, which are the companies has come for the IPOs, which has made the investors very rich, which has made the investors as poor or beggars, we can say that. So those all the company information is available, and by using this data, you are going to write a core Java application where you are going to find that the company which has given the most returns, which has made the poor returns, and which company to be invest. Like something kind of a statistics you can do that when you're learning the core Java itself. Okay, and at the same time, this is IPL data, how we are going to read this data and how we are converting into the domain objects. So this is what another thing. And then there is there is yeah, when you are doing this year IPO data, these are the things. Display the year wise, how many companies has went to the IPO. Display the companies which made investors money zero. Display the stocks which has given the maximum profit. Display the stocks which has given the profit and in a short period, and display the stock names and the current price of the all the stocks. That information you will read it from the seed data. This is seed data, IPO data you have here. By using that, you will be getting that here. And along with that, like there are other seed data. If you go and look at here, there are other files. You can see here. Yeah. Okay, here you are going to see it here. JDBC, when you are learning that here, what are the things you are going to do it in the JDBC? So application.properties, how you are going to use it here, how you will be writing the JDBC code, like by following all the best practices. So here 4 days ago we have done the JDBC code. Like you will be taking the application, IPL application only you will be taking here. And there is a 2 domain objects we are having here. Only 1 domain object, it's the player, and we will be using the Lombok in order to generate a getters and setters. And what are the queries you require here that will be given in a service. Okay, you need to find some statistics. We need to find it here. What are those methods are required? You'll write the API. By using this API, then you are going to give the implementation. And the implementation also we have done only just I have given the skeleton I have given here. This is as an assignment. Okay, then you are going to create your DAO where this is a place where you will be writing how you are going to write the queries and how it will be implemented. All these things will be introduced. This is the way the classroom phases will go, and at the same time, few methods I'll be giving the implementation in the classroom, and few methods I will be asking you to implement that here. So what are the code I'm going to do it here, and that entire code will be given to you, and multiple projects will be created here, like core Java, and then you can go and look at any of this example, like how we are going to use the collections when you're doing the collections. And here, what are the examples? What kind of examples you are going to do that here? When you take the collections, there is a quiz application. You will be developing here a quiz application. How you are going to conduct the quiz, and how you will be reading the questions from the question bank, and the conducting of the quiz. So this explanation will be given to you, and at the same time I'll be doing in the classroom. And while pushing the code, I'll just push the only skeleton, and you will be implementing the quizzes. So same thing, you take any concept, you will have the examples, like count occurrence of a word, and list example, map example. When you take the IPL data example, how we are going to read from the JSON file, how we are going to read it here in order to work with the JSON file or CSV file. This is a reading from the CSV file. How we are going to read, and how we will be converting into the CSV file into the domain objects, and how we are converting the file with the team object, list of team objects. And then from once you get the team object and player object, so then you are going to use that those util classes in this, and you will be doing the statistics examples. You are going to do that here. This is a completely used by the collections, where you will be using the collections practical approaches you will be introduced. So these are the things you can expect in the classroom phase, not only discussing these concepts, like what is the industry is following the best practices, at the same time And the practical, instead of taking the ABC or numbers or some unrelated examples, we'll take the all these examples, project related examples, we'll take it here. By end of core Java, you'll get familiar with the how you can write the logics and what is the DTO objects, why do you need DTO objects, what is the getters and what is the setters, and getting familiar with the logging, what to log, what not to log, how to see the log files. This all information you'll get it here. So most of the fundamentals we learn in core Java. And what are the language, what are the fundamentals we learn, and we'll use that fundamental knowledge in the when you're learning the enterprise technologies. And enterprise technology, Spring made it as a very simple. The thing, one of the coolest thing is Spring has got the lot of features, and just we are going to learn what they have provided and how to use it. That's a thing we will be learning in that. The day one we'll learn Spring with the Spring Boot. We learn with the Spring Boot. We will not create a project now, by going the Maven project. We don't do that here. The Spring has got given the beautiful website start.io. By going to the start.io, we'll create a project and we'll get started with the boot, because a lot of configurations has been automated by the Spring Boot. So this is the approach I'll be taking you throughout the sessions. And whatever the examples we are going to code, I can code examples in front of you, but that doesn't make any sense now. That's the reason just I'm showing the existing batch. Like yesterday we learned about the JUnit. So how you are going to write the JUnit and how do you write the test cases. Okay, suppose you are writing a test cases. Now you are taking the number operations test. How you will be writing the test cases, and when you run the test cases, how much code coverage is done that. So suppose if you are taking this is the example I'm taking here, and now I'm going to take the sample example. If I'm taking here, okay, this is a place where I have written my JUnit code. I have written here. So CMD, I'm going to open here, MBN clean, and there is something called the test. So we are going to write the test cases, and we are running the only test cases we are running here. And once you run the test cases, it is going to tell you that test reports as well, how much code coverage is done, that what you missed. So whether you have covered all the code is being covered or not, you can see that here. Target, if I'm going here, site, Jacoco, here we will be seeing that what is your test code coverage. So 55% code coverage is done, that 55% remaining places you didn't do the unit test cases. Now this class has been covered the 100%. And these are the test cases we have written in order to test this biggest method. And there are few methods are available. And whether you tested the 100% it is covered or not, we can see that here. These all methods have covered the 100%. Remaining things I didn't touch that here. It is saying that, but overall your code coverage is very bad. It is saying that here. Total 129, 292, 55% is core coverage. It is done. So to get this kind of reports, we will be using something called the Jacoco. We will be using here. When you're learning the unit testing itself, it's not only writing the test cases at the same time. You want to know about your test coverage. So how to use that plugins, you will be introduced to. Okay, this is the last class what I explained to the previous batch. Yeah. So this is the way you will be doing the unit testing. You are going to do that here. And the UI applications also, when you're writing the UI applications, immediately you create that application. At the same time, you are going to deploy that UI application into the whatever the. Okay, let me show you that as well. Okay, here we have so many branches here. You are having here so many repositories. So there is something called the JS Playground. I hope that's correct. JS Playground. Okay, JS Playground, JS-Playground. This is a UI application. And now here we push the code it into the GitHub repository. We push that. And at the same time, in order to see. Okay, here you can see that here what kind of examples you will be doing when you're learning the JavaScript. Suppose if you are taking the operations. So these are the UI is created. Now here you have my calculator or minutes to seconds. Okay. So this playground, the code will be given to you, and where you will be developing the calculator. If I'm taking here 12 and 13, and which is going to addition of that. this code doesn't have the backend implementation, like the logics, it doesn't have that here. The same thing you'll be asked to, like IPL statistics only, how we are going to create a the IPL statistics example, you are going to create it here, string functions, and when you are going to develop the contact book application, how we are going to add the contacts. Okay, just we are going to say it as a something, we are going to give it here, and some age we are going to add it here, or add, you are going to do it here. The thing is that it's not adding that here. Add, I'm going to do it here. Now that add should come here, the data should come here. Whatever the data you added here, where with the delete and update options, you have to enable that here. This is just, it is like the assignment questions. So when you are explaining the JavaScript, not only doing the JavaScript examples, and you will be implementing some of the these functions when you're learning that, how you are going to sum of digits, reverse, and palindrome, how you implement that, and how to show the result. We'll ask you that here, and you are going to write the backend JS files. You are going to write it here. So this is the way the JavaScript will be introduced. And when it comes to the Angular, this is a Angular code. You are going to write it here. So everything is a practical and hands-on example. Hands-on, we are going to take it here. So I will not be taking any of the ready-made examples. Everything we are going to take it as a everything we are going to code. And along with that, when you are doing the coding, when I'm doing the coding, there will be sometimes we may make mistakes, or we may need to reorganizing the code. We may need to refactoring the code. Those all these things in the classroom session itself we will introduced. So this is what the overall we are going to cover in this program. If you have any questions, I'll answer your questions. Otherwise, yeah, more or less I'm done for the demo session. Yeah, guys. Feel free to ask any if you have any questions. Yeah. No questions? Okay then. So if you don't have any questions, I'm done. Somebody has asked something in the chatting. Okay. Thank you for the demo. Yeah, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.